remember these skills to be less vulnerable and more resilient in the pseudonym ABC Please. In ABC Please, A is for accumulate positive emotions. When you accumulate positive experiences, events, and valued behavior patterns, you build a wall between you and emotional dysfunction. B is for build mastery. This means doing things that make you feel competent and effective. This is a line of defense against helplessness and hopelessness. C is for cope ahead. This means you want to get ahead of emotional situations. Before you get into an emotional situation, you rehearse a plan so that you are prepared to cope with the situation skillfully. Please stands for a set of skills that will help you take care of your mind while taking care of your body. DBT assumes that it is often, but not always, the events in life that cause unhappiness, not faulty interpretations of the events. This is the opposite of what many therapists assume. Reconciliation between these points of view is possible. A person who gets emotional often begins distorting. Paying attention to the tendency to distort is useful. Taking some time to see if events can be interpreted differently can be helpful too. Over-focus on cognitive distortions as a source of difficulty can further invalidate the behavior, emotions, and thinking process of the suffering person. The goal is to validate your responses. Most people who feel painful emotions do so for good reason. Increasing positive events now can accumulate into a happier life. There are reasons to add positive events to your life. Positive events increase positive emotions and decrease negative emotions. They are so important that they are a component of two of the most effective behavioral interventions for major depression, which are cognitive therapy and behavioral action. All people need positive events in their lives to be happy. Each person needs different things to be happy. The same person can have different needs at different times. The absence of positive experience has negative effects. It reduces happiness, increases sadness, and creates vulnerability to events prompting painful emotions. Positive events are like food. Food does you no good if you don't eat it, and positive events do you no good if you don't experience them. Negative or adverse events have negative effects. If you have too many negative or painful events in your life, it can be difficult to feel happy and to feel content, particularly when you are living a life deprived of positive events. When you try to go on a diet, you are in a state of deprivation and restriction. This results in negative emotional stress. Too much work and no play can have the same effect. Both short-term and long-term positive events are needed. Short-term positive events are those that make you feel better now, right this minute. Long-term positive events are those parts of your life that give a lasting sense of happiness and contentment. Pleasant events are possible even in deprivation. You can find or develop pleasant events that will lift your spirits, at least momentarily, and increase positive emotions, even if only slightly. An example of this will be practicing gratitude. What can you be grateful for no matter what else is going on? There's got to be a kernel of positivity or progress. Avoiding negative events can result in avoiding positive events. Avoidance is somewhat of a vacuum. By avoiding, you miss the possibility of the positive in protecting yourself from the negative. This is a new recipe for unhappiness. Developing pleasant events is worth the effort. If you are too depressed, tired, overworked, or overwhelmed to make the effort, you may not bother to develop pleasant events. You need to realize how important it is to add little positives into your daily routine. Short-term positive experiences can be created many ways. You can do at least one pleasant thing a day. This will prompt positive emotions such as enjoyment, pleasure, serenity, calmness, love, joy, pride, or perhaps self-confidence. You can build positive experiences now by using problem-solving skills. Using problem-solving skills to figure out how to increase the positive events in your life is effective and important. When you have very little money, an inflexible schedule, or many things being asked of you, it can be difficult, but it is possible. You can create positive emotions in the now by practicing opposite action skills when you need to activate yourself once you are unhappy. It can be extremely difficult to activate yourself to increase the pleasant events in your life. Not thinking in terms of deserving and not deserving helps to build positive experiences now. Deserving and not deserving are examples of judgmental thinking. If you think this way, you may have to do opposite action by engaging in pleasant events when feeling you don't deserve them. Practice non-judgmentalness, one of the mindfulness how skills that you learned in the second module. Positive events are reinforcers of positive emotions. They make you want to activate yourself and keep having positive experiences. Lastly, to build positive experiences and accumulate positive emotions in the short term, avoid avoiding. A special case of taking opposite action is to avoid avoiding events that are pleasant or that will lead to pleasant events. People often avoid pleasant events or taking that sometimes difficult step that will lead to pleasant events. When you're in a bad mood, you say, "Why bother?" And sometimes you give up. This does not work in the long run, even though at the time it does work for the short term. When this is happening to you, the best strategy is to look at the pros and cons of avoiding and also consult wise mind.